up on Cronkite Sports Live. The wait is over. ASU basketball has found its guy.
Plus, we get down to the nitty-gritty with women's basketball head coach Charlie Turner-Thorne for this week's Sun Devils Sit-Down.
And ask no questions and you'll be told no lies? We don't care. Street and Greet is here to expose your sports knowledge. What's good and welcome into Cronkite Sports Live. I'm Jake Garcia. He's Mauricio Casillas, and boy, oh boy, do we have a show loaded with Sun Devil action for you today.
That's right, Jake. Big news this past week was that former Buffalo head coach and star player at Duke, Bobby Hurley, was named new head coach for the Sun Devil men's basketball team. It's a hire experts are calling one of the most dramatic weather-changing career moves of all time.
Well, both figuratively and literally, the weather's been mighty nice at Phoenix Muni this season, and it's pretty much established that it was thanks to one of athletic director Ray Anderson's first house cleaning moves when he brought in Tracy Smith. His Sun Devil baseball team continues to torment Pac-12 competition and had the opportunity to pull off the sweep against Arizona on Monday, and what would have been ASU's first sweep of U of A since 2009. ASU had taken a 2-1 lead going into the 8th thanks to a gritty two-strike sac fly from Joey Bialik and a gift-wrapped bases-loaded walk to Brian Servin. Lockdown closer Ryan Burr was then called upon to get a 6-out save, and that's where things turned sour. After a walk and a strikeout, Burr gave up a decisive 2-run moonshot bomb to Bobby Dahlbeck in what was Dahlbeck's second home run of the game. U of A then proceeded to bat around the inning, pound out 4 more runs for a total of 6 in the inning to salvage a series-ending win against ASU. I now welcome in Pac-12 play-by-play guy Dominic Cutrone to discuss if Burr's latest outing is any cause for concern. On the bright side, he's been nails all season long. His strikeout numbers through the roof. But he always seems to struggle getting those 1, 2, 3 innings, really not his forte.
Yeah, he only has 3 1-2-3 innings all of this season. Earlier in the year, the problem was inherited runners. You look at 2 games in particular. Oregon State, he gave up the winning run in a 0-0 deadlock tie in the top of the 9th inning. But they still would end up winning that series. The one that it really hurt was against TCU, then the #1 team in the land, gives up the go-ahead run in the top of the 9th inning as well as an inherited runner, so it doesn't go to his ERA. Doesn't really show on the box score, but still, you got to make sure you lock it down then. Now, the base runners are really catching up to him. He has 2 blown saves in his last 4 appearances, one on the road in Utah. The other one is also here at home against U of A, as you mentioned earlier. So for Burr this season, it's been kind of a rocky up and down season, but he still leads the Pac-12 with 10 saves.
So maybe in a sense, like you said, Burr's lack of easy innings are starting to catch up to him. Do you see anything different, though, from a mechanical standpoint that may be leading to these troubles?
Well, he definitely keyed in on his slider over the offseason, making sure that his #2 pitch had a lot more development on it. And it's a tight breaking ball. It's a really good one if he can throw it for a strike. Now you see on scouting reports, teams are catching on to that slider saying, look, he hasn't really proven that he can throw it for a strike consistently. If you see it, be thinking let it go at first and then try to challenge him with the fastball and make sure you get it. In the case of Bobby Dahlbeck, he got the hanging slider, hit it out of the ballpark, almost hit it onto the road over at Phoenix Muni. It was a moonshot because Burr hung it, but he still has the confidence in the pitch. He said after the game that, look, it's a pitch that was called. You know what? It's not a big deal. I'm going to go back to the drawing board and keep working on it.
On the flip side of things, David Greer has been both picking it at the hot corner and raking at the plate. He was a bench player to start the season, but then because of Dina Telly's thumb injury, he became a member of the everyday starting lineup. Now with Dina Telly back, you got to think that David Greer is penciled in this lineup every single day.
Yeah, he's got a stranglehold right now on the hot corner, thanks to his bat, really. He's batting .368 this season. That now leads the team. His on-base percentage is only second to a guy named Johnny Sewald, the leadoff guy. He puts the base hits through the right side. He puts base hits up the middle. He drives in runs. He's already second on the team in RBIs, even though he wasn't a starter at the beginning of the year, as you mentioned. He's a timely hitter, too. If coach wants him to hit and run, he will do it. He's one of the leading candidates for the hit and run just because he puts the ball on the ground. He's a line drive guy, sends balls into the gap, and his bat has really been a pleasant piece for the Sun Devils because he's now been protection for Brian Servin in the cleanup role since Greer is batting 5th.
ASU now #4 in the country. They've won all 5 of their Pac-12 conference series so far this season. They'll be taking on Washington this weekend. Thanks for your insights, Dom. He's your go-to for all things ASU baseball.
As mentioned earlier, Bobby Hurley is the new man in charge for ASU basketball. He's one of the most legendary point guards in college basketball history as he won 2 national championships at Duke. He is also the all-time career leader in assists at the collegiate level, but perhaps he is most famously known for being one of the very few people in the early 90s that did not hate Christian Laettner. As impressive as the 43-year-old's resume as a player was, he's still relatively new to coaching. Hurley's 2-year stint at Buffalo is his only experience as a head coach. However, he says he wants to implement what he did at Buffalo here at Arizona State.
This year we were in the top 25 in pace of play. It's a style that our players enjoy playing. We led our conference in scoring in conference play this year, and that's because we're going to play fast. And I think that style fits in very well in this league.
For more on the Bobby Hurley hire, we bring in WCSN basketball expert Zack. You heard it right there, Zack. Hurley wants up-tempo basketball. But realistically, how different is that than from what Herb Sendek was trying to do at Tempe?
Well, plenty of coaches come in saying they want to play up and down. It's more exciting for the fans. It gets the fan base energized. But the difference is Bobby Hurley actually did it at Buffalo last season. If you look at the advanced metrics, the offensive efficiency, and Buffalo was also top 30 in possessions per game. They just got up and down. It wasn't like Bobby Hurley was bringing in 4- and 5-star guys. He was bringing in MAC-level talent, but he was able to put those guys in the correct positions for his system, and that's what it is. It's his philosophy, it's his system, man-to-man pressure defense, dribble drive on offense, and I think he'll be able to do that at ASU.
Now, Zack, it's still a little early, but this is a Sun Devil men's basketball team that loses 3 key seniors. Now, is it still too early to tell if this Sun Devil team could be a contender in the Pac-12?
Obviously, it's April, and so everything is early at this point. But I wouldn't be shocked to see them land 5th or 6th in the Pac-12. That's where I see them, just because they're bringing back a lot of meaningful players. Trey Holder, if he makes a big jump in his sophomore season, he'll be that impact player in the Pac-12 like everybody expects him to be. And if Bobby Hurley can somehow manufacture some production out of Savon Goodman and Roosevelt Scott, guys that maybe had up and down seasons, I wouldn't be shocked to see them in the 3rd or 4th spot in the Pac-12. But that's only if Bobby Hurley can get a good marriage right off the bat.
Well, there you have it. Zack with the latest on Sun Devil hoops.
Thanks, guys. Many are now fully aware that ASU basketball is in rebuilding mode, and if it had slipped the minds of anyone, last Friday was a friendly reminder that Sun Devil Stadium is in the same situation. More than 5,000 Sun Devil fans packed the under-construction venue on Friday to watch ASU football play its spring game in one direction on what was approximately 70% of the field. Still, despite the limitations, it was time perfectly served for enhancing the connection between ASU's next quarterback-wide receiver combination. Brett Deckert has the story.
The lights were on for the first time at Arizona State's spring football game as they moved the scrimmage to a night start. But that wasn't the only first. Senior DJ Foster, formerly a running back, saw his first action in Sun Devil Stadium as a receiver.
I thought it was a good scrimmage. I thought we had a lot of competition going on, so I think everyone came out healthy for the most part.
Maintaining a healthy roster is important in a scrimmage like this, but otherwise the focus is on building familiarity among teammates. For Foster, that means building familiarity with his quarterback, senior Mike Bercovici.
At the start of the scrimmage, Bercovici and Foster didn't seem to have much chemistry on the field, and DJ agreed with that sentiment. But as the game grew on, him and his quarterback seemed to get on the same page.
I started off a little rough. I finally got a little rhythm, and he started putting them on and stuff. So, it took a little time, but I think that we started getting clicking, and I think he did very good with all the receivers. I think he started getting comfortable, and we started getting to our tempo as an offense.
Head coach Todd Graham and the rest of his staff have shown quite a bit of trust in Foster by moving him to receiver, especially by placing him on the outside rather than in the slot. After his slow start, Foster did make a few catches and left his fans in attendance with a good first impression.
And of course, this event is all about the fans behind me here on the field, and that's what Foster recognizes.
I love it. I think it's a great time to connect with our fans and to see all these kids and stuff. It's wonderful.
The spring practice season wraps up on Tuesday, and from there, Foster will have just under 5 months to prepare for his final season as a Sun Devil. For WCSN, I'm Brett Decker.
The Arizona State hockey team released its first ever NCAA Division I roster on Wednesday. Now, the roster is a mix of 13 returners from last season's club team and 15 new players recruited by head coach Greg Powers. The biggest surprise was that senior forward Liam Norris was listed on the team. As it turns out, he still has a year of eligibility left with the NCAA. Others like captain Brett Blumgren and backup goalie Lucas Felbel were left off. The hockey schedule was also released this week. The Sun Devils will play in their first ever Division I game on October 9th as they travel to take on Alaska Anchorage.
Well, Mal, I think it's safe to say that so far the show has been chalk. We nailed home the 3 big sports in baseball, basketball, and football with the usual faces bringing you all the content. But here's where we really kick this show into gear with some notorious featured guests. You'll see some of them later on, but for now, Jason Chesler gets the ball rolling with Tweets of the Week.
Thanks to that word choice, Jake. Notorious. That's right. I'm notorious because I'll keep our heroes accountable. Sun Devil athletes as a whole, we act like they can't make mistakes. But sometimes they do. In the immortal words of Hannah Montana, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. It's unfortunate. Fortunately for us, sometimes those mistakes are made on social media. They said it. We picked it. ASU Athletes Tweets of the Week. Let's get it rolling. Starting things off with Jaylee Merrill, Sun Devil cheerleader, their athletes too, and significant other of Mike Bercovici. Guys, she showed up at Berco's house. They were matching. Same shirt color, same pants. Yay or nay on Berco matching with his bae, guys?
Oh, my goodness.
The shirt's okay, and I will sing Berco's praises as a quarterback, but what in the world was he doing with those pants on?
I have no idea. Berco,
Guys, camo is in.
Yeah, camo might be in, and sure, Berco dons the Pat Tillman jersey occasionally, but that's because he's a great player. I guess he's trying a little bit too hard to be a great boyfriend. Berco, wear the pants you want to.
He's also been really active with his girlfriend on social media. The two of them were with Jordan Simoni and his girlfriend, and then they happened to crop the girlfriends out.
I did see that.
That was kind of quirky.
Hey, that's roommate love,
To each his own.
Roommate love.
Roommate love does go beyond. You match with your roommates. I'm not sure if you match with your significant other. It's a different thing. Moving forward, another mistake made by another Sun Devil social media star. It's gymnast Becca Conrad. So Becca Conrad, she's accepting donations to the Becca's Broke as a Joke fund. All well and good, that's fun. Is that an NCAA violation, guys? Can you ask for donations
I think it's Becca just being clever, trying to take a stab at the system. Becca, I appreciate what you're trying to say. I think athletes do deserve some money, and Becca, I will donate to that fund.
Well, the question I had, she said that cash will be taken, but anything else is accepted. What else is she asking for? If it's not cash, then I don't think it's an NCAA rules violation.
No, we've seen from athletes elsewhere, Jake. What if she wants some more spaghetti? What if she wants a second serving of spaghetti?
What if she wants Reggie Bush's Heisman Trophy?
Ooh. These rules are challenging, guys. We'll keep you posted on any Becca Conrad NCAA updates. For now, we'll just follow her on Twitter. Moving forward, last one, big mistake. This time not from the athlete. Guys, it's from the team. Here we see a picture of one of the many new ASU hockey recruits. It's Charlie Zuccarini. Except wait, is that a picture of Charlie Zuccarini? He tweeted out this with "Wait, what? That's not me." Fun fact, however, Zuccarini's bio on Twitter also says "Wait, what?" He likes that phrase, guys.
So apparently there was the case of the Sun Devil Twitter account mixing him up. If he's a highly touted recruit, that's got to be an issue, though. You think like this team would do some research as to who this guy is, and then to make a mistake like that, not a good way to welcome him in.
How do you not know a guy like Charlie Zuccarini with a last name like that? Are you kidding me? You have to get the right picture.
I'm making up the nicknames already, guys. Zooks, the big zucchini, they write themselves. These tweets did not write themselves. Good effort from the Sun Devil athletes everywhere. Keep it real on Twitter, guys.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Jake.
The sweeper will now bring us into our next segment. After just under a month of road games, the Sun Devil softball team is back in town. The return to Farrington comes after a 5-5 showing on the 10-game road stretch. At one point, however, ASU was 5-2 after offensive outbursts yielded the team just over 8 runs a game during that stretch. But tasked with Oregon, the number 2 ranked team in the country, for its final 3 games, the ASU offense sputtered. The results were 5 hits and 2 runs per game and 3 games dropped. It's tough to complain about any extended road series if you're this team, especially considering it got home cooking for its first 22 games. But after a long couple of weeks from being away from Tempe, returning home is a welcome sight.
Just trusting in each other. I mean, like, we always have each other's backs, and it was a rough couple weeks, but I think, bouncing back and being at home is going to bring our spirits up, and we'll be okay.
The Sun Devils play host to the Oregon State Beavers with the first game tonight at 7 p.m. You can catch all the action all weekend long on pac-12.com.
And joining me now at the desk is none other than WCSN lax expert Trey Lanthier. Now, Trey, let's get right down to it, down to the nitty-gritty. Big game this weekend against U of A. Now, on paper, it seems like ASU is the team to beat. But, of course, the game is not played on paper. So let's go deeper. What do you think this game actually comes down to?
Well, I think one of the big X factors is going to be Dan Davis. The preseason player of the year has not had the best season. I know. But I think this is his time to shine. He's been getting hot at the right time. And you can see these have been some struggling times for Dan Davis. He's never been one to have struggles in the scoring department. But this year has been the opposite of that until last weekend against San Diego State. He came to life, 5 goals and a 7-point performance. I think Dan Davis has a chance to be the difference maker in this game, especially going forward through the rest of this season.
Now, Trey, you honestly can't ask for a better time to be trending upward for Dan Davis. But what about U of A? What is the U of A offense doing differently that could affect this ASU defense?
Well, they're a very midfielder-heavy offense, and I want to take a look at that U of A offense right now in their final play against Liberty last month. You can see right here Foster Bundy behind the net. The whole defense is looking at Foster Bundy, but wait, there's midfielders up top. What are those guys going to be doing? Watch here. Foster Bundy's going to roll around. The defense is still paying attention to him. I'm not sure why, but Foster Bundy finds Ryan Falbo. Falbo realizes he can take advantage of the mismatches. So he's going to come across after drawing a distraction, going to get the look he wants on the isolation, and that's the game winner for you. So this is a perfect example of how U of A's offense operates from the midfield down.
Now, Trey, a guy that is synonymous with ASU lacrosse is Zack. He's a face-off specialist for the team and a guy that has just been one of the most exceptional players that this ASU lacrosse team has had. Now, it doesn't get much better for Zack. It's senior night. It's against U of A. What are you expecting from the face-off specialist?
I think this is going to be one of the best games of Zack Handy's career, and a lot of it comes in because Zack Handy has been such a great player throughout his career. We're pulling out high school footage here to try and demonstrate his skills as a face-off specialist. You can see right here demonstrating his vision in the passing game, and he's really had a lot of that as of late. Here's some of his Sun Devil games, and really this is what I want to point out the most, because this is a goal-scoring effort that you may be seeing something of a replay of later on today. Zack Handy is definitely a player to watch against U of A.
Giving him a full-on spoiler there, Trey. We don't want to spoil anything just yet, but yes, you might see Zack Handy later on in the show, and you can catch him on Saturday night as ASU takes on U of A at 7 p.m. You can catch all the action on CronkiteSports.com. Trey Lanthier with the very latest on ASU lacrosse.
Promise Amukamara's stay local story continues to beat on. After a high school career at Apollo High School in Glendale and a storied 4 years at ASU, Amukamara will continue to rain jumpers in Arizona for the foreseeable future. On Thursday, Amukamara was drafted in the 3rd round of the WNBA draft by the Phoenix Mercury, becoming the first Sun Devil taken in the draft since 2009. Promise appeared in every one of ASU's games in her 4-year career in Tempe, and her anchor in the starting lineup in 2015 resulted in a huge jump in her counting stats. She led the team in minutes, led the team in steals, and was 3rd in scoring. Her talents were a huge factor in ASU's season for the ages, as she helped the team to its 2nd most wins in school history and its highest seed ever in the NCAA tournament. So, what will life without Promise look like for the Sun Devils? As you'll see in this episode of Sun Devil Sit Down, it's ironically a whole lot of promise.
We've seen through social media, your team's already back in the gym, getting ready for next season. What is the attitude of this team in the offseason after having such a successful run in the postseason with the NCAA tournament?
Well, we haven't even had our banquet yet, so we really haven't even properly celebrated everything that this team was able to do. They are taking time right now just to process. When they get done with school, finish finals strong, they're going to all watch film on themselves, and they're going to just kind of look and see, okay, what do I want to work on this off season to get better? They know, because we talked almost immediately about how big the target's going to be. I've joked with them, what do you guys think you're going to get picked this next year? And they're like, I don't think they really understood. No, you're going to get picked first. You're going to be the team to beat. Everybody's going to be gunning for you. There's not going to be any, how come they weren't ranked higher? So huge target on their back. They know it, and they know it all starts now. So we're already back to work. 0-0, new season, new team, and I'm looking forward to it.
Where do you see this program going this year after having this past year with so much success, like we said earlier, so much history making? Where does the program go from here?
Well, we're putting together a very, very, very tough preseason schedule, and we're really challenging ourselves to get ready for Pac-12. I mean, new team, new season. We want to, our goal is always to build, to build. So it's going to absolutely be our goal to go, deeper into the tournament this next year, especially with most of our team coming back. If we were graduating 5 seniors, we may have to reevaluate, okay, let's try to get back to where we were. But I think, it's probably, if I was speaking, I think if you had Katie or Sophie or, Lily or, Kelsey here, they would say, oh, we want to go further. So that's what we're going to prepare to do.
It might seem like to the viewers at home that we here at CSL are pampered by makeup, air-conditioned studios, and fancy equipment. And while all that might be true for Jake, sometimes we get out of our comfort zone and head to the streets for some real in-depth reporting. In this week's Street and Greet, our own Gavin Shaw patrols the Tempe campus and asks the hard-hitting questions about ASU sports.
I'm Gavin Shaw here at the Palm Walk on Arizona State's Tempe campus. Let's get it. How'd you know that?
I had my suite mate, my freshman year, was part of it before I became recognized officially.
Who was your suite mate?
Victor something.
There we go. Yeah, he's really good. Spring game for football.
I was not actually.
No, we missed that. We couldn't find that.
we just looked up yesterday.
We're ready for Burko, man.
Anyone stand out to you or any plays in particular?
Not really.
I wasn't mentally there.
It was last Friday night. Victor is actually switching to the Quidditch team next year.
I didn't hear about that actually.
You didn't hear about that?
Not.
A lacrosse team? What's a lacrosse team? Like, like the sticks and like they turn it. Is that ASU athletics really quickly?
Someone is dating for me.
Oh, that's fair. Do rugby guys get more girls than the players on the football team?
Yeah, I'd say so.
As a basketball coach.
I think that's cool. It's definitely different, something cool. I'm just hoping for the best for ASU, to be honest.
But Arizona State men's basketball is such a rich tradition of success.
I don't. Maybe I'm not the best person for this.
You're going to open a hair salon in Tempe.
Whoa. The hair salon?
Sick. I'm gonna go there.
First time I heard of that. Right
yeah. In a dog grooming store in Tempe.
That's not true.
No. Hey, call me out. Street and Greet.
One of the biggest traps for many of us in the world of sports is to fall in love with the shiny new prospect. These players are the beacon of hope, the tantalizing promise of the future, and the allure of the green light. That's been the motto for weeks here on CSL's Weekend Forecast segment, as the overarching goal has been to find the next lightning in a bottle. But sometimes forgotten in all the hype surrounding up-and-comers is the steadying and calming influence of a veteran, someone who has experience under his or her belt, someone who's been there before and knows exactly what to expect. You've seen him at the anchor desk, and you've seen him in many other high-profile positions, and today he returns. Here's Kyler Mead with the Weekend Forecast.
Thanks, Jake. Lots of great stuff going on this weekend for the Sun Devil fans of Arizona State baseball. You can start up here in the wintry, snowy, or probably more likely rainy Northwest. Seattle, Washington, home to the University of Washington Huskies. Go Dogs, unless you're an Arizona State fan. Baseball is going to be up there, 3-game set, 7 o'clock tonight, 7:30 tomorrow, and 1 on Sunday. Check it out. Pac-12 networks on your television screens. Next, in Tempe, Arizona, you're going to be able to check this out right down here. Farrington Stadium is the home, coming back after a tough road trip. Arizona State softball going to be taking on Oregon State in a 3-game set. That's 7 tonight, 7 tomorrow, noon on Sunday. Check that out at the stadium, or you can check it out pac12networks.com. And finally, up at the West Campus, Arizona State lacrosse is going to be taking on U of A Wildcats in the senior night game. That's 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Get out to the West Campus or cronkitesports.com. Thanks, guys.
You know why I love Weekend Forecast, Jake?
Why is that?
Because it makes me think of all the possible top plays that could be showcased on next week's show. But for now, we're bringing you the best plays of this past week.
Get things started with play number 3 here. Jake Peavyhouse had already homered once in this game, and here, Wating, walk-off base knock. More from this series in a few seconds.
Close game between ASU and San Diego State in lacrosse. We pick things up late in the game. That's freshman Tommy Carrasco tying things up at 14, and find out what happens next.
And he wins the draw. He's got to move quick here. He realizes it.
Under 10 to play. Handy takes it down. He scores!
Zack Handy with the game winner there.
ASU U of A on Sunday. Johnny Seawald. Take me to church. Riley Moore thought he had gone yaya. Seawald says nope.
Wow, wee wah, Jake.
It's really nothing new that we're going to close the show with the way it is. We've been closing with it for nearly the entire semester, but the simple fact that it's stuck on the show's closing segment should speak to how successful the higher-ups here at CSL have deemed it to be. That or people just love it when they get a heartfelt and impassioned FaceTime from either of us.
That's it.
Remember, we're bouncing questions off each other and giving quick, witty, and sassy responses. Winner will be determined by the producers, and a FaceTime will follow. Score tied 1-1. Let's get to it. First question I have for you, ASU basketball, fact or fiction? Will they win 20 games in their first season under Bobby Hurley?
Well, Jake, this isn't as sassy as it would normally be, but I think 20 games seems pretty tough. They lost their emotional leader and their best perimeter defender in Shaquille McKissick. Now, if I had to guess, I think this team probably wins about 18 games, but I think we will see some good stuff from sophomore point guard now, Trey Holder, in his second year. Now, Jake, switching gears, Kirk Herbstreit of college football tweeted Tracy Smith on Tuesday, jokingly asking him if he had any players in Tempe that he could spare to the Cincinnati Reds. Now, Herbstreit, former quarterback at Ohio State, you know he loves the Cincinnati Reds as well. Now, all jokes aside, who is the current Sun Devil with the best chance of making a splash in the majors?
Tracy Smith calls him a moose. I call him the soon-to-be most highly coveted prospect from the Sun Devil team. It's Ryan Burr. Scouts always love plus stuff rather than plus command. Burr's fastball sits close to 97, and I think his secondary stuff only improves with the coaching from minor league coaches. Question for you, the schedule for ASU hockey's D1 season, first season in the NCAA, was released on Monday, 6 days after they take on U of A as their first D1 game. Ironically, the U of A game isn't the larger scale game. That comes against Alaska Anchorage. So which game on this schedule has you most riled up for the start of the season?
Well, Jake, it's not necessarily a game, but I think it's the home series against Yale. It's really the only home series that ASU hockey has against a Division I opponent. So really, I'm more interested, not really for the game, but I want to see what fans do reacting to the fact that ASU actually has a hockey team. Now back to you, Jake. James Harden is among the favorites to win NBA MVP this season. It's either him or Steph Curry. Now I know the Sun Devils have a lot of decorated athletes in a lot of the pro leagues, but is Harden, James Harden, the best Sun Devil athlete playing professionally in his or her respective sport?
It's a terribly tough question because there's so many different caveats to this. James Harden, he's an MVP candidate, which means he's at the top of his sport. But I would argue that both Dustin Pedroia and Phil Mickelson have better legacies than him. Obviously, those two, Pedroia's not an MVP candidate anymore. Mickelson isn't in the top 15, but I say their resume is better than Harden's. Harden's probably the top in terms of current production. The other two, best current players in terms of legacy. So we saw a package on DJ Foster earlier, the former running back for ASU, and now I'll ask you a question on the current running back, or one of them at least. It's Kalen Balazs. In case you didn't know, he's 6'3", 220 pounds, and has been mowing people over in ASU spring practices. On both sides of the ball, though, both at running back and at devil backer, come fall, which situation, offense or defense, do you think is best served for him?
Well, Jake, why was he recruited to Arizona State? He was recruited to be a running back, and that's where I think he should play. We see it a lot of times, especially in college football, players playing two ways, and I think it just doesn't work. You think of a guy like UCLA's Miles Jack playing running back and linebacker. It worked for a bit, then it stopped working, and I think that's what's going to happen with Kalen Balazs. I also think it's important to have him in the backfield. He's a nice change of pace from a guy like Demario Richard, who's more of a shiftier running back. As you mentioned, Kalen Balazs will pound you down and get into the end zone. Now, last one, Jake. Redshirt junior Blake Stauffer is ASU's first Pac-12 Wrestler of the Year since 2011 when Anthony Robles won it. Now, Stauffer wrestles at 184 pounds of pure muscle. Jake, I know you don't weigh nearly as much as Blake Stauffer, or even close to that, but how long do you think you would last with Stauffer in the ring?
I can't give you an exact time because I wouldn't even step on the mat with him. This is going to come to the disappointment of my dad, who was a good wrestler in high school.
Cop out of an answer, but okay.
Exactly, but I think my dad's past the disappointment stage. When I was 7, I told him I would never wrestle because I was worried about messing up my hair and worried also about the sweaty bodies that would touch mine. Embarrassing, but it's true.
Sorry to disappoint your father, Jake. And let's hear it from our producers. Come on.
Who's it gonna? Oh, yes! That is robbery.
Amazing.
Right over my face too.
Now, for those of you guys that are counting at home, 2 for Mauricio, 1 for Jake. But something that really irks me, Jake, let's get down to the nitty-gritty, is when people don't take club sports at Arizona State seriously. Sure, they're not as glamorous as the Division I sports, but the raw athleticism and emotion is still the same. The guys and girls on these teams play because they love it. I mean, you have to. After all, the players often have to pay to even be on the teams. I understand that to make it to the Division I level is a great achievement, and I'm not trying to undermine the traditional college athletes that do that. All I'm advocating for is some love for the club athletes. The ASU hockey team is a fine example for why club sports matter. The ACHA's team's success is what ultimately propelled donors to pull the trigger and make the Division I hockey team a reality in the desert. I guess really what I'm trying to say is, and what I'm trying to get at, is these players work extremely hard and very rarely get the respect that they deserve. I think we should change that, and that's the way it is.
Had me tearing up a little bit there.
Hey, gotta love the club sports.
Well, that's it for our downtown Phoenix studios. This has been Cronkite Sports Live. Great show all the way around. Next week, though, you'll see Brett Decker and Jason Chesler on your computer screens. And then hopefully after the week after that, I'll be resulting victorious in the way it is.
Probably not.
We thank you for watching and have a great evening.